intelligent lawyer for Khodorkovsky, and Mr. Khodorkovsky wrote a letter to his direct person saying, please let my lawyer apart, but they still insisted. And there were several attempts to do that. There were several attempts to charge the lawyers as criminals. And this is a very obvious feature of the political persecution. In the very case file, I have found the document which calls the instruction of the president. Mr. Putin instructed the Procuratura General to investigate this case, and the content of these instructions, are not clear. No, it's more or less clear, but it's unknown until now. We requested this document from the Procuratura General. We asked, we made our motion before the court to call this document to look at the nature of these instructions. But all the bodies refused us. What we know for sure, before this instruction, the Procuratura General had an opinion that there is no crime in their actions. And after these instructions, they have changed their mind completely. So the very influence, the interference from the executive was so obvious, and it was demonstrated by this this letter, this document, which called reply to the instruction. So we do not know the content of these instructions, but we know about those which are those instructions. The question is why they left this paper in the case file. It was better to withdraw it. But I assume that that was an instruction for the future court hearing. As soon as you open the case file, you know who is interested in the result, as many of my colleagues said. Then Russian judiciary has no more precise instruction. It's clear. Then the circumstances of the Mikhail Khodorkovsky's arrest. He was arrested with big pomp. It was spectacular. He was, couched in his airplane. He was in Novosibirsk. He was making his official visit in different regions of Russia. They stopped up with using the FSB forces. It's interesting when we mentioned that was made with the assistance of the FSB. At the European Court, in our complaint to the European Court, the Russian authorities strongly denied that fact. And that was amusing because in some documents from the case file we have proposed to the European Court, presented to the European Court, it was clear that the prosecution, General Procuratura, ordered the FSB group commander to do that. And they denied that. Why they denied that? Because they were afraid that the truth would be clear, but they didn't know, and they were not so accurate to check that it is already a part of the case. And another thing, the European Court put the question before the Russian authorities on Article 5, when they say, what was the reason on the 25th of October? While he was traveling, he was a witness. He was not obliged to stay in Moscow and to come at any day to the interrogation. And he was so, truly open that he always came to all the warrants. So this time he was just simply was not in Moscow. And people in his office promised that he will come not on Friday, but on Monday when he finished his business trip. And the European Court, according to our complaint, put the question on which point of Article 5 of the European Convention he was arrested. And they answered that he was arrested not in accordance with Article 5. Louis already started to laugh because the list of the reasons is exhaustive. I mean, if it is not in accordance with Article 5, by the way, it's going to be tomorrow a decision on this case. I'm not in a position anyhow more to discuss that point with you, but this is one of the points of tomorrow's judgment, and we will see what is. There is a reaction of the European Court on the so simple answer of the European Court that Mr. Khodorkovsky has been arrested not in accordance with Article 5 of the European Convention. Another point is my colleague used the word voluntarism. That is what we use in Soviet times, showing arbitrary way of doing something. And I'm completely with him. Arbitrary style of most of the actions of the authorities is so obvious. For example, they have arbitrary chosen the courts for the court. Both the Komolnichesky court and previously the Nishansky court of Moscow. The territorial jurisdiction was chosen wrongly. And that was because somebody in the Procurator General, they decided to send this case to this or that court. And you can see from the papers that Mr. Danilkin, for example, we sent him the case and please take a case. Why to Komolnichesky court? It is not said. There is a difficult discussion of the proper court, but certainly not Komolnichesky court, because none of actions been committed in this, none business, nor something else. Anyway, non-criminal. And this style to choose the court and the judge is the same what Mrs. Kudeshkina and Mrs. Moshikova have already mentioned. But we can realize when the president of the court, no, we disagree with the way how it is done, but we at least can realize how it could work. But when the Procurator General gives the order to the court, it's something absolutely unacceptable and so visible and so obvious. And the problem of this case is not that another judge or another court would be better, but the possibility of the General Procuratura dictate which court and which judge would be responsible for this case without the Supreme Court or even Moscow Court involvement in that. Or at least it is not seen from the case. Last point, which I am going to mention, the charges. Many people already said these are absurd, these are wrong, these are, whatever charges. But I would just give you one idea about these charges. These charges are formulated in seven volumes. When you have to say something, you have I don't know, 3 lines to describe one charge, or you have 3 pages to describe 10 charges. But when you have 7 volumes, it means that you are speaking about nothing. And the exercise, very funny exercise we have at the courtroom, when Mr. Khodorkovsky and Mr. Lebedev every time ask those prosecutors, please tell us, what have we committed as a crime? And I said, look at the charge. No, we have looked already. You're describing the normal activity of the company, saying that from the very beginning until the very end, absolutely criminals. And intentions of those criminals were very bad because they wanted more money to receive from their financial and production activities. This is the intent. This is the criminal intention. It's something from the really old time of the Soviet Union. So the income to receive the more income is a criminal intention. But 7 governments